All right, so this video is entitled Own Your Part. Why did your partner cheat? And I have somebody who has agreed to come on and discuss this with me. So it is going to be a very interesting conversation. Let me know while we are waiting for him to come in and get signed in. Do you think that there is a part that the partner who has cheated on should take? Not saying that it is their fault that they cheated, but is there culpability for creating the environment? Okay, it would be like dropping soap on a floor and then a person coming along and slipping. You could say, well, they should have been wearing proper shoes, they should have been holding a railing. True. Is there any culpability for the person who spilled on the floor? Okay? Less people fall when there isn't something on the floor. There is something that the Bible calls as a stumbling block. And the best way to describe a stumbling block is literally think about like a big, like a trunk. You know those big old fashioned trunks that people used to carry supplies in? Imagine it being dark and you put a big old trunk in the middle of the hallway and the person trips and falls. That is what a stumbling block looks like in my mind. So the person is responsible for their own actions 100%. Just hit the little icon that looks like a video camera, friend. The person is responsible for their actions. They're responsible for falling down and hitting the floor. However, I'm asking you, is the partner who put the chest in the middle of the floor responsible on any level? Most people don't think about what it takes to stay in the relationship. Instead, they only think about what attracted them into it. I would agree. All right. So we have our guest joining in.
What's up?
Hello, hello. Hey,
You gotta
sir.
give me a moment. My first time.
Oh, welcome, welcome. And I was going to say, I know you're on the move right now. So if you want to put your camera down until you get to
Oh
your...
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have no
yeah.
problem staring at your ceiling. I want to make sure you're
Oh,
good.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm pulling in the neighborhood now though,
Oh,
so I'll
okay.
be fine.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So, what would you like to go by? Because I only have your IG name. What would you like to be
Uh,
called, or would you like to
Sean
be
is
named?
fine.
What's that?
Sean is fine.
Sean.
Sean.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
thank you, Sean, for coming on. What are your thoughts for the people who are just coming on? We are talking about, and I have to say this, and I'm gonna repeat it until people get sick of me. We are not
It's
condone
all right.
cheating. We are not condone
Amen.
cheating.
Amen. Amen.
We are not
Amen.
condone cheating. We are not.
Amen. At the
Okay,
utmost. Amen.
so we got that out of the way. Is there any culpability cheated in an environment? That's what
Hold on.
we were to talk about. So what are your thoughts, sir?
I think it is, and it needs to be on both sides. With accountability, because a lot of times even men, when women tend to cheat, there's like, it's probably the man's fault. It's probably something he wasn't doing, this and that. He probably didn't pay attention to communicating, this and that and the third. But a lot of times they don't realize men and women aren't that much different. Yeah, we the polar opposites, but you gotta listen and see what your man wants. It's not all about a take. He has emotional needs, mental
Imagine
needs,
that.
physical needs, spiritual needs, and a lot of times men we are actually great communicators, even though we get labeled bad communicators. We're just simple and straight to the point on what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah.
So once we keep issuing it out there and then we see that it's not being met, we try to stay faithful. We try to stay in the relationship because men typically ain't the one ending relationships. But what we tend to mess up at is when we don't feel fulfilled, we go look for peace or some type of resolution elsewhere,
Outlet.
even if
I
it's
love that you
temporary.
said that. I love that you said that because, oh my God, I love that you said that because I don't see a lot of men owning this. What I hear is men celebrating the fact that they're not leaving the relationship as though that in and of itself is great. It would be great if they don't leave the relationship and they're taking care of home.
Amen. Yeah.
But it to
Absolutely.
say I'm physically here, I'm still giving a check, I'm still tucking my kids in at night. It's kind of like the woman's going, who cares if you're out cheating with 15 different people a year? So
Yeah.
I hate the fact that people are using a statistic that doesn't tell the whole story, because
Yeah, it's like
what I
variables too.
yeah, and I found that, and I said this on one of my lives. I said, because men are able to compartmentalize, they can completely shut down and
Yep.
still
It
stay
still
present as a
operate
father
great
and
in
a
every
husband.
other area.
Yes, they'll shut down. They could pass their wife every day. They could sleep next to her every single day. They don't have to have a temper tantrum and go sleep in the guest room. They can
Yep.
lay next. They even have sex with her. They can do everything and still seem like they're there. But as a woman, we
Yep.
feel it. We're like, he ain't here.
And then other times, like say even with the sex aspect, they're like, well, how can you say you still love me if you cheated and then whatever? Me and we can compartmentalize. I can still get erect and not be in love.
Yeah.
I may be unfulfilled, but I may still want to carry out my duties as your man. I'm not.
Or
I may be flawed in one area, but not in every area.
and that's the part that I think is confusing to women, because if you guys have seen pill boxes, okay, there are pill boxes. I say men are like pill boxes, women are like bowls. So the man, he can put every single thing in a different pill box. So for the woman, he might say she's a bomb cook, she's a really great mom, she's an upstanding citizen in the community, she's my sister in Christ, so we have that in common. She's great. I can trust her with my life. He can have all that and it'd be like, but she's a total B. Every time I'm around her, she stresses
Yeah,
me out. She's a nag. She's whatever. So
and
he's
it's
able to put her in
draining.
these boxes. Right. She's draining. So, or maybe, she's let herself go. I'm not saying that you have to look how you did before kids. I'm
Oh
saying
man,
she let herself go. And she's not doing
yes,
anything to get back on track. So what he does is in these pill boxes, the pill box is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Sunday is the part where he has all the affection for her. The other
yeah,
parts are paying the bills, still living together, being a good dad, and maybe even rubbing her feet from time to time. But the energy
yeah.
of I want to hang out with you and you're my best friend and I want to make love to you,
It's
that box is
God.
closed.
Because we'll swallow that one pill that we don't like for a long time until we just
For
shut
them
that compartment
sometimes.
down. Because it's like that compartment has no return value. That
And
pill is not giving me medicine.
I'm just going to completely just bypass this. And so what happens is and then on the other side, so the mistress who's just doing that one, and again, you guys, I got to do it again like a CNN ticker. We are not condoning cheating. We are
Don't do
not
that.
condoning cheating. We are not condoning cheating. We are not condoning
We're not
cheating.
saying it's good. Or you need an excuse. Don't do it. You don't got
Because
to.
people
You never have
taking
to,
a
but
sound bite.
it
Right, you
happens.
never have to. So again, we are not condoning cheating. However, I feel like I should wear a sticker that says the whole time, we are not condoning cheating. But
I'm not promoting it.
right, exactly. So the mistress then, she's that one who's a good time. Like y'all could sit and laugh for hours and she's talking about stuff. This explains why she could be a 4 or a 5 and your wife is a dime piece. How the hell are you throwing her away for this one? It's because when we talk,
Thinking about on a surface level, it's like, no,
yeah,
they ugly, they ugly. And I tell even my female friends,
it's cutting out. Hold on, guys. Let me have him come back in. When it does that, it's really hard. So we'll have to have him come back in. All right, it throws you out. So it's easier if you come back in. So jump back in. Guys, what do you think so far? Because this is a very, 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 what do you call it? Controversial topic that we are talking about. Hopefully he can get back in the signal. Okay, perfect. He's requesting back.
yeah, I think it was reconnecting to my Wi-Fi because I pulled up at home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what were you saying? You said I was telling my female friends when you're like, it's not about all
Oh
looks.
yeah, yeah. And they ugly. I'm like, you so self-centered. You still haven't. I tried to identify anything or took any accountability for what you could have possibly done. Like, and they always in relationships. I didn't do nothing wrong. They cheated. And it's like maybe it's something you didn't do. You ever
Oh,
think about that?
oh, and
Why
I
cook? I did this. Yeah, you're doing adult duties, but what did you do that fed into him? He's at a bank account. You have to put investments in to get something back out.
And it's amazing to me how so many women will make excuses for not doing what needs to be done. But when it's the guy, they're like, no, no excuses. And I'll give you an example.
No excuse. You should have just
When
left.
I had,
Like,
look, so here's the thing I say is excuses, but they'll make excuses for themselves, but not the guy. It's this, the husband. I want to have sex, babe, but the kids are, taxing, and I'm tired, and I did this. They'll make all these excuses on why they don't want to have sex, right? But if the guy wants something from her, she says, well, or she needs something from him. She says, figure it out. I don't care. Figure it out how to make it happen, babe. I don't have anywhere. Figure it out. Make it happen. And this unfair thing. My thing is, thank you, Joe. My thing is, whatever you're like on your side, be the same on the other side. So let's say you're that person who goes, you know what? These experiences or these circumstances are making me not meet your needs. And if you think that that is okay, an okay excuse, it better be an okay excuse on his side. So if he says, I hear what you're saying, babe, but these circumstances are keeping me from making you happy, then you better be okay with it on both sides. That's my thing. Or if you think, no, what you put on the other side, I don't like it, then you need to understand that's not an excuse. Circumstances are not an excuse for not doing what your partner needs to do if it's within reason. We're not talking about he's asking you to join the circus.
I agree. We allow the I'm tired aspect to go through, but it's like, I mean, and not to make a comparison, because women work hard and y'all have different jobs, and we appreciate all y'all doing society. But 90% of the time, our jobs are far more physical. We are tired. It's more demanding. A lot of us, even when you're a higher earner, I got a job, but I'm in the elements 24/7. So yeah, I'm tired, but I still have to come home and wear this face and perform and do all of my duties.
It's so true. And I think the part that really, really hurts us is that with women, and I get on men too, but this particular live show, I'm getting on my sisters. But this is the thing that hurts women. They don't understand that men express and feel love through physical engagement. Women express and feel love through verbal engagement. We are the beings of the human
That's why
being.
it's easier to sell a dream in books and all this other stuff. Because it's like somebody can tell you what you want to hear and you would love it.
Facts. So if the guy drops the ball and he stops expressing his love, oh baby, I love you. Oh girl, you look so good. If he drops the ball, she shuts down, and that's inexcusable. But if
Yeah.
she drops the ball, which is what he needs the BJ.
You
He
gotta
needs
suck it up. Suck it up.
you better just suck it up. And that's the part. And
Like, I'm
there's
a human being.
right. Because for her libido isn't the same typically. There are some women with a high libido, but there
Yeah.
are a lot of women whose sex falls down on the priority level when they have other things. And so this is where I
Amen.
also tell men when they are struggling with the wife, because there was a guy who came on, he was struggling with his wife not giving him a lot of sex. But and when she allowed him to have sex, he felt like it was a what is it, obligation, right? So who wants that?
Yeah,
So
that's not cool.
it's not cool at all. It's like, so what I told him was, listen to what her excuses are, not condoning her excuses, but listen to what her excuses are. And if any of her excuses are, I'm overwhelmed, then what you could do is you can do
Take
an
some burdens
experiment.
off.
Start taking some of those burdens off. If you keep finding that she's exhausted, well then maybe don't ask for it at night at the end of the day. Maybe in the morning when she's working. You have to keep experimenting and figuring it out. But that's not an excuse for the woman to just always say
Yeah.
no. It's off the table.
Yeah, I mean, because if we operating according to the word and we under technically you can't deny, but man, we happen to allow a lot of things to happen in relationships. So we do try to take those burdens off from time to time. Now, my advice to him would be, now once you try to remove those burdens and do certain things, and that person's still making excuses, then you might need to consider counseling or separating or whatever, because you've done your part. That's all you can do sometimes.
And I feel like we have to communicate. It's like, hey, I want to be like, if you were the husband and I was the wife, I would say, look, I understand you have a need, and I theoretically I would like to be there for you. Here are the things that are keeping me from being there. That is a completely different conversation than, you always trying to start something right when I'm doing this. You always want to. And it's such a compliment, really, that he wants to be with her that way. He could be with anyone else. So instead of looking at the comment like, baby, oh, you're so sweet. I know this booty is hard to resist, but I'm really trying to finish my book. I'm really trying, can we meet up in an hour? If baby, if I could just
He
finish
gonna be
this
down
book.
for it. He gonna act like a little kid. He gonna be geeked. He gonna be like, all right, dear, babe, I got you. Go ahead and finish that. I'm gonna do.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna do the dishes so that you don't even gotta work. That's that partnership. Right.
He gonna be whistling the tune. It's gonna go down.
I'm gonna hit the gym. I'm gonna do push-ups for the next hour. Like whatever. That's the part that frustrates me, is when I see people failing to communicate. It goes to an extreme. Oh my God, are you saying that like I should just lay there and just force him to basically rape me? No one is saying that.
No, like why would you even put this? Like, I have a pet peeve when people do that. How you just gonna maximize it all the way to the top just like that? Like, you're not hearing none of what's said. You be like, man, I hate it when it's hot outside. So you just hate the sun? Like, what's
you want us all to just destroy the sun? Like, should we just burn the sun? Like, from 0.
I'm just giving my observation. I'm sorry I had an opinion, but let's bring it back to where we started.
I have found that a lot of people struggle with, what is the word to describe it? Like, it's that what is it?
Generalization type.
Generalizations, exactly. I don't know why I can't think of what it's called, but it's like, if you say one thing, all of this must be attached. It's like those hitches. You have your car and then you pull the trailer behind. It's like, if I have the car, I must have the trailer. No, you can unhitch it. They are two separate thoughts.
They tend to bite on the key word instead of listening to the full sentence. It's like, listen to the wholeness of it. That's like you say, I'm not a cheater, but if this happened, I would do. So you're a cheater? Like, you just heard the one word. You listen to what I am telling you.
It's so true. It's so, and this is what's so crazy. Somebody said to their wife, I'm not going to cheat, but I'm letting you know I have blue balls like a mug. Like, when I say I have blue balls, like, this is ridiculous. Not to mention that, but at my job, there are several women who are in shape, have made it abundantly clear that they will take care of me as many times as they need to take care. And
it's hard for a man to deny that long, especially when he's not getting it at his home. It's like women are a prize, but men are also a prize as well. It's like, you do know we both.
But this is the response from the wife, right? Oh, so you saying you finna cheat on me? But then if he does cheat, the reaction is, well, you should have told me you're unhappy. I cannot win for. I've been
through that. Even when you say that there are other people that are attracted, so you must be giving them something. You must be tired. You be like, I've actually had an incident like this in a relationship, in our last relationship. This person, we never even had a conversation. Yeah, I may have liked the picture or whatever, and they may have liked mine. We've never exchanged any words. She goes and messages the girl repeatedly, even after I tell her, I don't even know this person. We've never exchanged words. We don't even go back and forth. I liked a picture one day. They liked a picture of mine one day. But you know what this girl ended up doing? The girl ended up contacting me. Well, since she keep messaging me about it, I want to see what the fuss is about. What's up? When do you want to meet? So it's very possible.
She ended up bringing that into her universe. She ended up manifesting the situation. It's one of those things, as a content creator, I have to keep figuring out how to, because I have to make so many disclaimers. Like, even this one. I mean, I've been joking with it, but I'm serious. Somebody will hear part of it. They will hear this one part, and they'll go, oh my goodness, you're condoning. It happened even in the comments of the reel that I made. I said, is there any, and I painstakingly wrote the caption, No one, I had started it with that because I already know my people. I already know they're going to immediately hear cheater and go, oh, they're, okay. So I said, we're not condoning cheating. So just set that aside. There's no point in having a conversation if we all agree. Do you think there's culpability for the environment that caused them to be tempted? And it's like they just don't even see that section. Like they can't.
Yeah. It happens on both sides. And I hate the quote the late great Kevin Samuels, but men and women typically do cheat at the same rate. It may be just a small percentage of change, but like we said before, if a man is not doing X, Y, and Z and a woman cheats, then it's all the fault happens onto the man. All he was working too much, he wasn't giving attention, he wasn't doing this, that, and the third, and the man is still vilified. And I've been in that situation as well. I make pretty good money, but you'll still have somebody ungrateful. You don't make enough money, so then you go work more. And then now you're working more. I don't see you enough.
I don't ever see you.
You gotta pick a struggle. You want a man that makes good money, but you want me to be available all the time. You can't have both. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. Life is, unfortunately, it's not a magic wand.
Right. This is the thing that, for me, I'm like, if there was one word I could sum up my purpose as far as content, it's accountability. And this is what happens. If there are two people in a situation, this person is like the partner, or they're connected to one of my followers, but this is only my follower. I am never going to speak about this person.
No, do
never.
that. That's not cool.
It's not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speak on this person because this person is not my follower. This person has not said, Yanti, can you help me? The follower subconsciously said,
look at you. Yeah.
A follower, by hitting follow, is saying, I want to hear what you have to say. Passively or not, they're saying, I want to hear what you have to say. So therefore, I'm going to speak to the follower. So even if this person did dirt, they're not my follower. And even if you show them the information, they did not consciously ask for it to be, their heart is not in a place that they want to hear. So I'm wasting my time talking to a person who's not looking to change. But you, the follower, you want to change. So why don't I show you what
do your part and watch what else happens afterwards. And if it doesn't work, then you can at least say you tried. But 9 times out of 10, most of this stuff works. It's scientifically, spiritually proven. And a lot of it's like the Bible gives you a lot of free game, and people say you don't lose Christianity in relationship talks. And I get that. But at the same time, it's more of a moral compass. If you line up and you do X, Y, and Z, 90% chance you're going to get the benefits of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And the same goes if you're doing negative. It's so true. This is how the maths.
Thank you so much, Janice, for the badge. I really appreciate it. There's some weird feedback. Do you hear it on your end too?
A little bit.
Started. Okay, it just started. So I don't know what caused it, but I want to give an analogy before we go to help people, because I love a word picture. I can give someone advice and say, hey, if you don't want cockroaches in your house, do not leave food out. And that person can ignore my advice and ignore my advice and ignore my advice. And then the cockroaches start coming in, and I say, hey, it's really important you clean this house up. And all they can say is, those cockroaches should not be here. Do you know how annoying it is having these cockroaches? These cockroaches shouldn't be in the house. And I say, you're right. Cockroaches should not be in a house. You're absolutely right. You did not do what you could do to prevent them. Now, if you don't have any food that's laying out, now you can sleep at night saying, there was nothing I could do preventatively. There are times, if you live in an apartment, that your neighbor's doing it, and it comes through your walls, and that happens. But I don't feel badly for the person who left pizza out day after day after day after day after day.
Where all these roaches come from? Like
crying about these cockroaches.
I don't know. I don't know how they got here. I don't know. You don't know. I don't know.
It must have been your neighbor. Must have been the neighbor. So it had to have been, because that's the only way
The
the cockroach
neighbor.
could come,
Yeah,
because
the
the
neighbor's
neighbor.
filthy. Yeah, the neighbor's filthy.
He said roach trauma. So I wanted to have this conversation because like I said,
I
hopefully people
appreciate you
listen
waiting
to
on
it.
me.
Oh, of course, because
Yeah.
it's always more fun having another person than being a talking head. So that's always really cool. And it was nice to see that you understood the difference between condoning. Like, that's what made me light up. It's like, he
Yeah.
understands there's a difference between condoning and acknowledging the environment that,
Yes, man.
allows
Yes,
you to do
man.
it. So thank you. I got a little triggered on this, but I feel better now.
All right. Yeah, do we all working together trying to bring all people together as far as relationships, especially in our culture. We need families
Yes.
because we're going to be extinct if we keep up what we got going.
Yeah.
It's detrimental to our survival to work
It's
together.
it's so true. It's so true. So I'm gonna close with this little spiel, this little bitty
Cool.
monologue.
All right, cool.
Let's let's not wait until your partner cheats to do an
Amen.
assessment test. What I highly recommend to couples, even if they're not in the place where they need counseling and they're at a crisis, I think it's better before. I think you should do preventative, just like teeth. Don't
Yeah,
wait until you have the plaque. Just floss beforehand. So the way you
yeah.
floss your relationship beforehand, before the plaque sets in, is you can set either weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, depending on how you need it, and do a check-in. Hey, baby,
Ain't no progress reports.
progress report. How was your week? Are you vibing? Is there anything that's because at that point, it hasn't become cancerous. It hasn't become plaque. It's just a little food on the teeth. And you can actually, with your own tool, clean it off. If you let that thing sit, this is because I have a background in dentistry. If you let that same food that you can easily get off with a toothpick or a cleaning tool, if you let that same food sit for 6 weeks, it has now
Destroy
become
you.
plaque, and I have
Yeah.
to actually get a professional tool to get it off. But if I check in with you on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, you could say, you know what, this is only a little bit of food. This is just a little piece of broccoli in your teeth. It's not a big deal. But I did notice at my company event, you were real smiley with that dude. It's not a huge deal, but understand that
Yeah.
if you keep doing that, it gives people the wrong impression, and it's not a good look
And
for
yeah, I
me.
will add to what you're saying. Like when people are doing progress, both parties should be open, no matter how messed up you hear in that person's truth. Try not to take offense. Try to just
Mm,
listen. You might be boiling on the inside, but just shut the F up for
yes,
the entirety. And don't respond with that emotion that you're feeling inside.
at all, at all. It's to go back to the dental thing. We have our weekly check-in, and I say, babe, how's it going? And you say, hun, there's a little something green. I don't know if it's lettuce or broccoli. I can either go, well, you have something on your face. You have a ranch on your lip. I can either do that
Right.
and start my, or I can go,
Okay.
it's embarrassing that he saw the broccoli. Okay, it's embarrassing, but shut up. Just listen, and go, okay, babe, where is it? Is it this tooth or this tooth? Okay. And then you say, okay, you got it out. And then you move on.
That's why men tend to shut down in communication because a lot of times that's the response. When we try to vocalize things and you get the backlash and what they say, happy wife, happy life, so you don't even get that rage from the other person, you just go
Yes.
mute.
And it comes from a place of insecurity. If you see one simple criticism as slashing your head off, that shows you have a psychological problem. Now, I'm not trying to be funny and say you need to go to a,
And you probably
insane
know that it's
asylum.
true, but you don't want nobody to point it out.
But that's why it's triggering, because what it is, this is psychologically how I've kind of assessed it. There is this delusion that unhealthy people have of perfection. And in their
Mm.
mind, and they also project this on other people because they expect perfection. They feel it's all or nothing. Throw the baby out with the bathwater if there's anything in your teeth. So what happens is deeply subconsciously, if you point out the little bit of something in the tooth, they instinctively say, I'm about to get thrown out. They think the entire them is being negated. You simply said there's something in your teeth, and they hear you suck as a wife. I'm about to divorce you. It's that intense in their
I've
brain.
experienced
That's
that. I've
why they're like,
experienced that.
and
Yeah,
their
I've
brain
experienced
explodes.
that. And I
So
was actually I was talking to my barber because I told you I was at the barber shop. I said
mhm.
I think people should go through mental evaluations before getting into a relationship. Yeah, people go to therapy, but I think individually and both give rights to your therapist to speak to that person, whatever. You need to see if you even mentally are compatible because
Stable
most
enough.
of us are
Yeah.
physically and maybe spiritually, but mentally compatible because one person can drive another person insane because maybe a disillusion or a mental other issue that they had prior.
And then you have
I'm,
the
I'm,
healthy person, like with a narcissist. If a narcissist gets with a sane person, the sane person who's actually in a healthy way evaluating and going, okay, because that's what you're supposed to do. My husband said that I had food in my
and
teeth,
they'll be like,
so you
"You're a
go to look.
narcissist." You be like,
But in the reverse, I'm taking it the reverse. So let's say you're the narcissist, okay? And as the
yeah,
narcissist, you say, there's stuff in your teeth. There's no stuff in my teeth. But if I am healthy, which a partner should do, a healthy goes, oh God, where is it? And now this person, the healthy person,
and it
looking,
will
oh
make
my
you
God.
crazy.
And they'll make you crazy. You're like, I don't see it, but I'm gonna keep flossing. Now your gums are bleeding, and you're like, oh God.
Like,
Now
man,
your
I done
paranoid's
killed
go out.
myself trying to fix something that it wasn't even broken.
That's what you can
It's
flip
like,
it. So then if
man,
you're not the narcissist, or I'm the narcissist, then you're trying to show me the stuff in my tooth, and I'm like, oh God, there's nothing to see here. And meanwhile, you got a whole head of broccoli in your teeth, but you're refusing to take it because it's coming from an outside source. So that mental evaluation, I'm serious. Like, I wish that
I
people,
hope I find a partner that's willing to do that and not feel like I'm crazy for suggesting something like
I said it
that.
to somebody and he thought it was so weird. This is back when I was dating. I wanted to go to therapy before we started dating because I said
Yes,
I would like to create healthy building blocks, because usually what
yes.
happens is people don't go to therapy until there's already a lot of bitterness and pain that's set in.
Too much
So
damage is done.
so I don't know if there's a way I can convince people, which I'm making a course, but I kind of want my course to do that. I really want people to have to go through this course to evaluate themselves and see if they even are healthy enough for a relationship, because most people are walking around with trauma and they don't even know
Yeah,
it
unpack
because
the
they
childhood
function.
trauma and everything you've experienced before me, and vice versa, and I should be doing the same. Therefore, we can start at ground zero. Just because we met, that's not ground zero. We need to unpack and then go on with no luggage
And I
and
think
enjoy
that
the
the
trip.
healthy relationship is actually healing. Because if I have daddy issues, but you're a solid guy, if I'm getting help while I'm dating you, you actually are over you're it's like,
Handicapping.
well, no, I was gonna say it's a positive thing.
Uh,
So if you and I are in a healthy relationship, I'm aware that I have daddy issues, you're aware that I have daddy issues, but I'm actively working on them. You actually start to substitute the damage for positive. So now all
amen.
the unhealthy experiences I have, let's say that's equals 7 if we could stack it. And then I get with you and now I have 10, now I have 17, now I have 27. Now this outweighs the trauma. You can actually heal me into health.
Hmm.
Now, you can't do
Amen.
it without a
Yeah,
conscious plan, because some people think that, oh, I
definitely.
can love this crazy person. I almost say crazy. I can love this unhealthy
Okay.
person into
No, no,
health.
no, 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 no,
Oh
no,
my
no,
God.
don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do
Right?
it.
I can
It's
help a
it's a
person who is
trap.
not acting right. I, I can help the person who is not functioning in a healthy manner they think that they can love them back to health. But sometimes
Ooh,
it
don't do
really
it.
takes an actual, I'm not even being funny, it takes an exorcism, because there's spiritual warfare and there's
Yes,
also
they don't. That doesn't get spoke
trauma.
on enough.
There was a woman, did you see that trending reel, that the lady who was getting proposed to, it looked like it could have been like a third world country, but this woman was getting proposed to, and all you see is the back of the guy's head. He's just calmly standing there holding the ring out. Like, we know what that posture looks like. Oh, she's getting proposed to. So she does the initial, oh my God, normal. She goes to put her
Oh, isn't
hand
that
out.
little supposed to be McDonald's thing or whatever? I don't know if I saw
No,
it. Or
her
everything else.
hand starts shake. You see her hand actually shake. Her face changes. It was actually creepy. She goes, "Ah, ah," and I was like, "What the hell?"
I'd be
She
like,
backs up. She
Run,
backs
brother,
away from
run.
the ring. He doesn't. That's what he said in the comments. He doesn't even get to put the ring on because she starts having this like trance, and she
That ain't
turns
nothing but
around,
God, boy.
and you
Get
know
out of there, bro.
you know when a dude plays basketball, an NBA player usually, or even any guy who's really into the game, and he dunks hard at someone and does a really good pass. You know that energy where he's like, "Rah,
Yeah,
rah."
like,
She started doing that, and we were like, everyone watching was like, what the hell? She started jumping like this, like yeah, yeah, and she got real aggressive, and I was like, what? And they said you were spared by God because a demon
man,
just
that's
possessed
divine
somebody.
intervention at its finest. Hey, boy, your mama been praying for you just before you was born. Thank her. You almost met a demon. Man, spiritual warfare is a real thing. Grandma prayers work for some that don't fight hard enough for themselves, man. You got to put that armor on and go out here, even when you're dating. You silly.
You had that praying grandma. Because
Real. That's work.
as soon as he tried to put on her fingers, it was like, ah! It was like, whoa, what kind of, ooh, that was scary. But
Edge of protection.
don't make me laugh.
It's real. It's real. It's funny, but it's real.
Oh my God. So a couple of the things. Oh, I wanted to leave something constructive because we were talking about this in theory, but we talked
Amen.
about one example. Let's try to give at least 5 examples before we go, okay? So one example
Okay.
was being hypersensitive to criticism. This is not a person calling you out your name, screaming at you, and berating you. It's someone simply saying, hey, I didn't particularly like that. So if you say that to somebody, or it's said to you rather, because this is for self-evaluation, someone simply says, I didn't care too much for that, and you feel traumatized, you are now wondering if they're going to leave you, your heart starts racing, you want to rage, that is a sign that you have some healing that needs to be done. I would also say if you only focus on what you don't like in the partner and it never
You're gonna be
even occurs to
satisfied.
you to like, well, I'm saying as opposed to it never occurs to you to even ask what, like, so you're, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm willing to say to you what I don't like about you, but it never occurs to me to ask you what it is that you would want me to work
it's
on.
important.
I think that that's another sign of not being healthy is where you're just
Very important.
one-sided. Can you think of anything else that you've seen like across the board where you're like, this is a red flag when you go in there? I don't know, I'm putting you on the spot. So people can have specific examples.
Well, you pretty much answered it. What you saying, like just what you basically saying. I'm just being combative. It's like having simple conversations, and you see how the person may just turn a simple conversation into an argument. That's a red flag. It may start small. He'd be like, "Oh, it was a misunderstanding," but usually things grow.
Right.
Once you don't ignite, once you don't try to kill the weed, and it's gonna be argument after argument after argument. So even in the dating phase, try to be mindful of the simple banter back and forth.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good point, and that is a separate and third point. It is piggybacked on mine, but I would single it out by saying this way. If you find yourself getting emotional over conversations, so if just the conversation itself takes you to an emotional place where you feel anger, that's a sign of not being healed. Unless that person is, like I said, being disparaging to you, calling you out your name, raising their voice. If they are simply speaking words and they're saying, I'm not happy with something, that is not a reason. That's not healthy to have that escalate you. I think the other one we could add for number 4 would be an inability to apologize and see your part when there is a blow up. So let's go back Monday morning quarterback and go, God, that was a really bad argument we got into. Let me see. This was my part, babe. And I want to learn from it and not do it in the next time.
And sincere apology. I mean, because some people will apologize just because you're upset, but they're not actually apologizing for their action. Or they'll say, I'm sorry you felt that.
Oh, I hate that one. You
That's
better
not
keep your
an
little crusty.
apology.
Yeah, keep that little crusty, because that's not an
Like,
apology, whatever
now
that
you
was.
disrespecting me and my feelings. Now you owe me 2 apologies now.
It's true. And I think the fifth one we could add is if you have a problem with forgiveness. Because if you have a problem with forgiveness, that's a sign of bitterness. So
Yes.
if your
Let it
partner
go.
messed up, and they really did, nobody's disputing that,
Yeah.
the person messed
You're
up
gonna get hurt.
and they apologize and you won't move past it, that and you struggle to move past and you constantly are living in the past, that's a sign of not being healthy, and you should end the relationship out of, consideration for the person, but you should also get help, because if
Yes,
you
it
are
does.
not in danger right now, a healthy person is able to forgive and move on because they know there's times that
Yes.
they need to be forgiven. So
Stuff happens. Like
yeah,
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I was like, I mean, I'm not perfect, but I do hate the fact that I am overly forgiving. And I was using a spiritual reference of how I finally came to be like that, because I'm like, even if it's something major, you can hit me, hurt me, take from
right,
me, do whatever. I'm gonna forgive you,
right.
because on a spiritual aspect, I can't expect God to forgive me for stuff, and I can't if for stuff that we even think that's probably far worse, because even our thoughts can get us in a spiritual bond with God. And they were saying, "Well, I don't forgive somebody if they done something that really scarred me," and I'm like, "I get it, but
It
I'm
hurts
not
you.
God, but it's something that you might need to check on the inside, because
Yeah.
that's
I
not
like
healthy."
I like that you brought that up, and I love the quote that people said: when you have unforgiveness, it's you drinking poison, thinking that
Hmm.
it's somehow going to damage the other person.
Yeah,
And
it's for
so,
you.
right, it's literally for you. And this is what I think people have confusion about. And I think there needs to be another word for forgiveness, because forgiveness, we say forgiveness for the other person. Like you and I have beef, and you
Yeah,
say, I'm sorry, and I say, I
for
forgive
yourself.
you. Right. But there's two parts to it. So I can forgive you. I could say, okay, babe, you know what? We're good. I do forgive you. And I can make you aware of that. That's what I gave to you. But there's also a separate forgiveness. So basically it happens inside first. And then
Yes.
that's the actual one. But then you might be privy to it. That's the part. So what people don't understand is you can forgive in your heart and the other person is never privy to it. You
Hmm.
don't have to
Yeah, you don't
go
have to even
out and
vocalize it at times.
right.
Yeah,
That's what
you
I'm
can
saying.
just, we cool.
Carry
It's
on.
all right.
Right. It's like putting the fire out that's inside of you. When
Yeah,
you are bitter towards someone, when you're angry towards someone, when you are hurt, it is like
you're
you
gonna hurt
bleeding
somebody
out.
else,
Right.
and
You're
you're gonna
bleeding
look for
out.
revenge in other aspects of life.
Right. Thank you for the badge. Well, Big Beck. Um, for when you were hurt, when you're injured, so you are the offender, right? In this analogy, you offended me. Now there is a cut. It's bleeding out. So I'm not okay because I'm in danger because I'm bleeding out. The forgiveness is I'm going to take care of my own wound. That is self-preservation.
Yeah,
Forgiveness is I'm going to take care of my own wound. I
yeah,
don't then have to go and start patching him up. They think that if I'm healing my own wound, it's patching the other person up. What you're doing is you're
yeah.
saying, I'm not going to continue to bleed onto you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna die over here.
Right, but I'm also not going
I'm
to
not,
die.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get this right, and I'm gonna stand up, and I'm gonna keep walking.
And
Because
I
stuff
think
happens, and I get it.
right. And so I think the difference is, and this is something I had to learn this year because I do have such a loving heart. I'm very forgiving. Everyone will know, like, oh my God, she is so forgiving. But the problem was I was forgiving people, but my actions after the forgiveness ended up making it condoning. And what I mean by that
Yeah,
is,
yeah, I've been
let's just
there.
say, and I'm going to use an extreme analogy so that we can make the point. But let's say you find out that there was a family member who did something to your child. Okay, we'll just say did something. You can forgive them in the sense, I'm not going to bleed out anymore. But you also do not need to ever let them around your child. That is
Yeah,
taking
exactly. Like
preventative
you're
measures.
asking for self-inflicted pain at that point.
Yes. And
Because
so I
they do
think that,
something. You don't have to forget.
right, right. Well, I
You
think
can forget.
right. It's like you could forgive that person, but you could also take that and put it in your database to go, how should I now maneuver? And so this is where boundaries come in. I forgave you. However, if you continue to speak to me using profanity, raising your voice, calling me out of my name, I'm going to love you from a distance. You're not going to stop me from loving you, but you're not going to have me in your good graces. I'm not going to have an intimate relationship with you. So I think that we can be godly, but also be psychologically healthy. And I think a lot of times people confuse
discernment.
and say,
You're supposed to be. God told you to use your discernment. Like people say, don't judge. You're allowed to judge. You're
so that
supposed to
how
make
to act
decisions.
accordingly.
Yes.
Right. So I think it's like, you have the person who's screaming at you, berating you. You could say, oh, this is not an area where I want to be. I'm not going to throw my pearls before swine. My presence is pearls. However, that's stopping there where it's godly. Where it becomes ungodly is if you say, oh, I'm finna cuss you back out. Now you went, the pendulum swung to ungodly. And then where it becomes perverted, where it's not about a godliness, but it's about a stupidness, an unhealthy situation is where you say,
your spirit.
Right. So that's the unhealthy, right? But the pendulum swings this way if you say, I'm going to be a martyr. I'm going to just keep standing here and letting you verbally abuse me for the rest of my life. Nobody is asking you to do this extreme.
Nobody's asking you to saint badge for being a punching bag. It don't work like that. You gotta be.
Why did you move?
God gonna look at you.
Why did you move?
I'm trying to take your butt up out of here. Duck. Something.
I gave you reflexes so that you could duck and move. So.
Yeah, amen.
This was good. I appreciate it.
Me too.
Enjoyed the
conversation. You gotta talk about stuff and break bread at the same time. That's great.
Look. I love it. Well, thank you for always chiming in, always being a positive factor on my platform. I appreciate it a lot. And to everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining. What'd you say? Oh, don't cheat.
Don't cheat. No.
Don't cheat. We don't condone it. Don't cheat. We don't condone it. Thank you to everybody who purchased the badge and helped to make my platform run. Until next time, guys, please tell someone that you love them. And I hope it's super obvious just how much I love you. Good night, guys.
Good night.